this is Jeff. This is the third video in a series of the basics of 3D in After Effects. This video is going to focus on the different kinds of lights and the different kinds of kind of material options you can for receiving those lights. So we have on our first experiment with lights, we've used a spotlight, which I told you is kind of like a stage light. So you can kind of see as it gets to the edge here that there's kind of an edge of the light, kind of like the sun is a, whatever cabaret singer, and you see the spotlight around them. So that's one sort of light look. Another light look is a point light, and the point light is like an individual light bulb. Oops, that was the sun. This is the light, and so this is kind of like an individual light bulb. It's a point light, so it's going to fall off, like the intensity of the light is going to fall off like a light bulb, so it can get really over hot kind of in one place and then kind of fall off towards the edge. Of course, you can always go into any of these and play with intensity till you can get something you like. But the idea of the point light is it's kind of functioning like a bare light bulb. The next one is parallel light. Now, parallel light is as if all of the light in the area was coming from one direction, but it kind of creates a nice even light. We won't see a lot of difference with these settings. And then ambient light is the kind of general fill light. And of course, and this ambient light, all of these have kind of a blue cast to them, so that's why all of these lights are kind of bluish. And if you have no light selected, you just back in the regular pure white, even ambient light. That is the natural setting of After Effects. So let's see. Now, light clearly shines onto things and illuminates them, but if you play with the material settings of the object, you can actually get more kind of cool effects. So I'm going to go to the sun, and if you open up the sun, you're going to see transform and material options. Now, I've taught you about the transform function here, where you can do anchor point position, scale, orientation, and opacity, so APST. Now, we do have shortcuts here for material options. So if you're ever on just an object and you want to bring up the material options, you can press A twice, and that's going to bring up just the material options. So one of the first and easiest things to do is to make an object, and this time we're on the sun. Make the object cast shadows. By default, it's off. If I turn it on, you're not going to get anything because we're in the regular kind of environmental light, the natural light of After Effects. But if I turn on the spotlight, you can see that it is going to not only make a shadow, but it's going to kind of diffuse it like an actual stage light. Same here with the point light. You'll see that it's going to cast it and diffuse it as if it were really in front of a light bulb. Now, parallel light, I said, kind of all comes from one direction. So you can see that here light is all coming from one direction, but it's not diffusing and it's not behaving kind of like naturalistic light bulbs. It's kind of a mathematical expression. And then the last one is ambient light, which you can add color to, but it doesn't really it doesn't do anything with shadows. So I'm going to go back to spotlight here because I think that's going to give us a lot of options. So another thing that we can do here under material options is light transmission. And if I turn light transmission on, what that does is it turns the shadow into kind of a slide projector. See how it's projecting the image? Now it gets diffused, but you wait as we go through our settings. So because the spotlight makes this projected image kind of diffused, you don't really see it so much. But if you go up to parallel light, where everything is always in focus, you can actually have kind of a double object effect. You have both the sun in the front and the sun in the back, where its shadow is kind of projected of itself. Now you can also have more fun here with the sun. I'm going to go back to the sun and press AA. And under cast shadows, I can set it to only. So here it's only transmitting the light of the sun. So you could use this as a way to kind of project image onto something else and kind of get some distorted, cool effects, which I think is a kind of fun thing. Of course, there's all sorts of other settings. You know, does it accept shadows? Yes or no. Does it accept lights? Yes or no. And so you can change these material qualities as they move forward. Let's go ahead, just for demonstration purposes, let's take our clouds. I forget which one's which, but I'll go AA, and let's, that accept shadows is off, and so there you go. So that cloud, I guessed right, is not accepting a shadow. It's accepting the projection. But at any rate, so you can kind of play with some kind of cool effects simply by playing with lights and material properties.